pro boxer. Yeah. I am a pro boxer. But my second fight on the same night.
On the night of August 27, 2022, we witnessed KSI fight two boxers, Swarms, popular British rapper and singer, and Pineda, a professional boxer from Mexico. Overall, the event was a massive success, with Deji getting his first win, Salt Pappy with an exciting 15-second knockout, and Slim with a stunning performance. However, the highly anticipated main event, KSI vs. Pineda, was unequivocally a disaster. To understand why, we need to take a step back and rewind. Before Pineda's arrival onto the scene, YouTube star Alex Pussabi was confirmed to fight KSI in what would have been Pussabi's first ever professional fight. Just months before, Pussabi had defeated Deji, the brother of KSI, in amateur boxing. This fact alone underlined and heightened tensions between the two. The two personalities would clash online, the main point of contention being weight. On the breakdown with Wade Plem and FaZe Sensei, Pussabi made a sly comparison, calling KSI Big Deji, and boldly seemed to state he would fight KSI if he would come down to his weight. Finally, the two sat down for a press conference, where KSI unexpectedly, and to Pussabi's surprise, revealed he had lost over 30 pounds. Almost a week passed after the press conference, and on August 6, 2022, Pussabi claimed he suffered a concussion while training and pulled out of the fight. This was a shock to everyone, as the sudden dropout came at the last minute, just 3 weeks before the big fight. Many began to speculate whether Pussabi's injury was in fact real or a masquerade to escape his fight with KSI. Some even suggested Jake Paul, someone with his own fight card, as well as intentions of fighting KSI, wanted to sabotage the long-awaited event and therefore paid Pussabi to drop the fight. Within 5 days of the announcement, Pussabi was spotted at the gym, leading many to believe the YouTube star concocted a fake story to escape a beatdown by KSI. Hours later, KSI tweeted one word, Pussabi, calling out Pussabi for being scared to fight him. Luckily, a replacement fighter was already determined for exactly this kind of situation, and the fight was confirmed the same day. That fighter, Swarms. With KSI vs. Swarms confirmed for August 27th, there was an uproar from fans who paid to see KSI and Alex Pussabi in the ring. This sudden change of plans did not sit well with viewers, as many felt the new matchup was underwhelming, uninteresting, and unfair. Swarms, with less than 3 weeks to prepare, had no real beef with KSI, and this was his first ever professional fight. KSI felt the heat of the backlash, and on August 16th, announced that he was fighting not one, but 2 boxing matches on the same day, same event. 2 for the price of 1. However, this second fight was going to be different. For his second main event, KSI announced, this time, he would fight a professional boxer. The boxer confirmed was Bulgarian pro boxer Ivan Nikolov, with a record of 3 wins and 16 losses. This didn't last long, however, as fans online soon pointed out the fighter's tattoos, linking him to being a white supremacist. 4 days after the announcement, KSI confirmed he would no longer be fighting Nikolov and that the pro boxer was replaced for being a white supremacist. KSI would now be fighting Luis Alcaraz Pineda. Luis Alcaraz Pineda, with a record of 2 wins and 5 losses, was the youngest boxer KSI had ever fought or planned to fight. At 23 years old, Pineda had the potential to be faster, more coordinated, and in better shape than KSI. Pineda's reach was also longer, as the fighter stood tall at 6'3", while KSI at 6 foot. Not to mention, the pro boxer did this for a living. So, where did it all go wrong? After Nikolov's removal, Pineda had less than 2 weeks to prepare for KSI. While training, the pro boxer showed good footwork and reach. However, this wasn't enough to prepare him for KSI's power. In an interview with IFL TV, Pineda admitted he didn't know the YouTube star, but knew he was famous. Despite this, he was confident he would win. Pineda may have underestimated his opponent, and when the day came, was overwhelmed by KSI's punches. Had Pineda studied KSI's previous fights and training footage, he would have seen KSI's emphasis on power and would have been better prepared for it. Aside from training, Pineda's record of 2-5 with 4 knockout losses made many question whether or not the pro boxer was truly a skilled fighter. Many criticized KSI for taking uneasy fights to increase his chances of winning. Pineda's physique was brought into question. At the weigh-ins, though both fighters weighed the same, Pineda had significantly less muscle mass. However, Pineda's height advantage, 3 inches over KSI, likely made up for that. Regardless, the selling point of the event was that KSI would fight a pro boxer. After fighting Swarms the same night, people were interested and eager to see how this would play out, how KSI would pull this off. But instead of an exciting and competitive matchup, we got a clown show. So, why was it a disaster? Why was the fight stopped again and again? Why was KSI doing push-ups? To answer that and more, we need to break down exactly what happened on August 27th. On the night of August 27th, 2 challengers stepped into the ring after weeks of build-up, drama, and last-minute changes. Pineda was now in KSI's house, the UK, fighting him at the O2 Arena in London. This was the start of the disaster. Pineda stepped out first wearing a lucha libre mask, a mask worn traditionally by Mexican wrestlers, rich in history and symbolism. On the surface, the young boxer seemed confident, giving out fist bumps and showing off his moves. But as soon as the mask was pulled, the Mexican fighter appeared nervous. His facial expression was worried as he took deep breaths, pacing back and forth in anticipation for his opponent. Was it just nerves? Was he overwhelmed by the crowd? Was he not prepared? Either way, it was too late to back out now. Right on cue, KSI entered the ring, fresh from his win against Swarms, ready for war. The legendary Michael Buffer introduced the fighters and announced the 3-round fight. Finally, the ring was cleared for KSI versus Pineda. The bell rang and the fight was in motion. Within mere seconds, Pineda felt the power of KSI's punches to his body as he stood wincing in pain, unable to do anything. Rendered helpless, Pineda ducked forward, exposing the back of his head to KSI, who, in the middle of his punch, had aimed for his head, but now hit the back of his head, knocking Pineda down. The crowd went wild. KSI had just knocked down a professional boxer. On the floor, Pineda signaled to the referee he'd been hit in the back of the head. an illegal move in boxing. The disaster had begun. The referee stopped the fight, told KSI not to hit the back of the head, and continued the fight. Another couple seconds went by before Pineda was down again, claiming another back of the head shot. Except this time it wasn't a back of the head shot. KSI had got him on the side of the head, and it was caught on tape, clear as day. This was beginning to feel like a scam. Pineda was getting desperate. He had bit off more than he could chew. He needed a way out, and this was it. The fight continued. Pineda threw one punch, missed, and KSI closed in on him. Pineda, feeling the pressure, turned the back of his head towards his opponent, raised his arms, and left himself completely open and unguarded. Right at that moment, KSI, who had aimed for Pineda's head, now landed a punch to the back of his head. Pineda complained again. It began to feel deliberate at this point, as if Pineda was trying to get hit. Maybe the young fighter thought he could win by disqualification, or maybe he wanted to stall the fight to recover from KSI's punches. Whatever the case, the referee stopped the fight again, told KSI not to do it again, and the disaster continued. Now KSI went for a body shot, but the pro boxer turned his back towards KSI, and the punch landed on his lower back. Another illegal move in boxing. And like clockwork, the young fighter complained. The referee seemed to grow irritated at this point and assured both fighters to continue. The fight continued. Pineda threw a few more punches, missed, and was then cornered by KSI. KSI unleashed a combination of moves. Pineda, the pro boxer, couldn't keep up and ducked his head forward. While throwing a left hook, KSI again connected with the back of his head. Can you guess what happened next? That's right, Pineda complained again. Back of the head shot. This charade went on a few more times before the clock ran out and the round was over. Pineda realized complaining was not going to work. By round 2, he grew more desperate. Pineda's best bet was to run around the ring, avoid being hit, tire his opponent out, and then hopefully take him down. Unfortunately for Pineda, KSI's stamina was unwavering, and after a minute and 12 seconds, he knocked the young fighter down a second time. No complaining this time, but Pineda got up and persisted. More running, more chasing, more body shots from KSI. Pineda at this point looked dazed, worn out, and ready to leave. But the highlight came as KSI threw a stunning left hook to Pineda's cheek, sending the fighter stumbling back, and finished him off, knocking him down for the third time. The crowd went wild. With Pineda still on the ground, the YouTube star started doing push-ups. No one thought this disaster could possibly go on, but unfortunately, it did. Pineda up on his feet again, shuffled around the ring, took more hits, claimed back of the head again, took some more hits, and the round was over. By this point, people began wondering whether Pineda was actually a professional fighter or if KSI had chosen an easy opponent. Regardless, Pineda was not letting up. Back in the ring for round 3, Pineda looked beaten, tired, and ready to go home, but he still ran around taking hits. Probably the funniest moment of the fight came as the YouTube star hit Pineda with an uppercut, and Pineda fell down claiming a back of the head shot. Right there, Pineda decided enough was enough and quit, making KSI the winner. KSI had done it. He went against 2 boxers in one night, won a professional, and won both fights. But Luis Pineda had also won in his own way. The young fighter showed up, ran around the ring, got hit, complained, and went home after a good payday. Fans who expected a fierce matchup between KSI and a pro boxer got a cat and mouse chase. At its core, KSI versus Pineda was a disaster. The skill level of both fighters was mismatched. Pineda's boxing record was not the best with 2 wins and 5 losses, 4 by knockout. There were no redeeming qualities other than Pineda being a professional fighter. There was no beef between KSI and Pineda, so fans who wanted KSI and Alex Pussabi were left completely underwhelmed. For KSI, this was another win under his belt. Now the question was, who would KSI fight next? As of now, His next fight hasn't been confirmed, with possible opponents ranging from Tyron Woodley, Dylan Danis, Slim Albahar, Dr. Mike, and probably the most desired of all, Jake Paul. But for that, fans may have to be patient.